Hello and welcome back to the season finale. Holy cow, how did we get here so fast? The season finale of Time to Change. And I have my good buddy Neela Singh on today. She is a fractional COO. If you have not read her content on social media, you need to get on that. I mean, it's crazy how good it is. It's crazy. Give it up, people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I keep saying that I'm going to find like a Viking cheer like thing, but I haven't found that yet. Today, we are talking about layoffs. What would you say is the first thing, the first piece of advice you would give someone who is facing or has faced a layoff?
Thank you for having me. So, first of all, a layoff is occurring and it's not personal to you. That's the first thing we have to realize. I feel like when I talk to people, they usually take it personally, like there's something deficient in me, there's something I could have done better. But no, it's happening. It's happening to a lot of good people, a lot of solid employees. I spoke to a friend of mine. She spent 18 years at one company, 18 years. And she went into to work one morning and that was it. She was done. And she is experiencing what everyone else is experiencing, a turbulent job market. I've never seen it like this before. In all of my years of living, I've never seen a job market. So it's really about visibility, right? You have to get visible in order for people to see you, in order for people to appreciate you. Personal branding. I don't really like that word a lot, but getting on LinkedIn, making sure you optimize your profile, posting, engaging with people, making those connections. Because understand something, when you apply for a job, there are like thousands of others who are applying for the same job. It's virtually
Yep.
impossible for recruiters to sift through that information, right? And there is a lot of things we can do better with a hiring process, but from a job seeker perspective, it's really now it comes down to who you know in a specific organization. So if you see a job that stands out to you, you connect with the recruiter, you connect with the hiring manager. But the thing that happens is that they would go to your profile to see what you've been doing, how well you present yourself, what you've been talking about. So you need to have your conversations needs to be in a collaborative way. You need to talk about topics that your expertise can show. So get visible. That's the first thing that I would tell anyone. So people think about a job like they're going into a job, they devote 100% of their time to a job. But loyalty is broken in the workplace. You really don't, no one is indispensable. Everyone can be removed at any point in time. That's the way the world is working. That's the way it's shifting. So, this is what you can do. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I started being a little bit more creative, like beyond corporate work, what else could I create? And I started with my designing jewelry, using resin jewelry. And I started with an Etsy store. I had no clue what I was doing. And the first few batches was really ridiculous. Like I made so many mistakes, but I practiced. It was really good. It built patience. But the point is, 2.5 years later, it's a lucrative business. You plant those seeds. You go into things without an expectation. It's just you're trying to cultivate better skills, become more patient. For me, like writing, for example, I write to evolve, not really to arrive, right? To learn, it's a learning experience for me. It helps me to tap into my emotions and make me a better person to the people I interact with. So you have to get creative. You have your job, yes, you focus on that, but there has to be other things that you keep looking at and you plant those seeds. You keep it going. And if you fail at one thing, you just keep going. You find something else. But what I'm trying to tell you is find other streams of income. You must find other streams of income.
Well, I think even past just the other streams of income, just the fact that you're broadening your life skills, that you're creating power skills for yourself, that you're creating passions and going after things that you've always wanted to do. You created a jewelry store, which I have secretly not been telling my wife about because I know she's immediately going to be like, I need you to buy this. So, but I love that. And I love the fact that, you hit it right on the head that shows employers a lot more about who you are. And it gives you opportunities to show, hey, I do this and this is what it creates. And this is what I learned from doing it. And those are applicable skills. I'm
Sure.
sure that a lot of the things that you do within your Etsy store are very applicable to many other organizations. And it just makes you a more well-rounded human being. I
Yeah.
love that. I love it.
Yep. Yep.
I want to go now and kind of switch to on the employer side. You have done, we're going to just make the assumption that a company and all the leaders have done everything they can to prevent this from happening, but they've gotten to a place where they just can't. Because I think you and I both agree that there's a lot you can do as a company to come backwards. You've posted a lot about things that you saw in companies in the past, and I appreciate that. But we've gotten to the point the company is going to have some layoffs. What would you say to companies that they can do to make that transition for employees that are leaving better?
So the transition for employees that are leaving, I think the first thing that comes to mind when you get laid off is income. But the first thing that I hear people talk about is their insurance and their health policies.
Benefits.
Yeah, benefits, because their families' policies are usually attached to that. They have kids, they have existing illnesses. And to navigate to Cobra is they don't get a lot of hand holding where that is concerned. They don't get a lot of coaching where that is concerned. They need that. They need some sort of pacifying support that, hey, this is going to work out. This is what you need to do next. The second thing is that I realized in speaking to my friends when they got laid off, especially with contractors, they were like, Neela, I thought I was at least going to be employed through the end of March, but they just laid me off. I'm like, what does your contract say? They don't have copies of their contracts. Please, when you are employed as a contractor with a company, a W-2 employee, whatever you are, make sure you always have copies of copies of it to your personal email, something like that. Because when you're laid off, you're cut off from all communications. You no longer have access to a company's emails. So you need to
don't
make
already have all of that. Yeah.
Right. And even though they're supposed to give you your documents if you request it, sometimes it never happens, or it does not happen on time. You have to file unemployment benefits. All of that stuff comes in handy for you to be able to access dates, etc. So make sure you always have copies of your important documents. That becomes super important. And you're just confused when you're laid off. You're just very depressed. You don't think about these things. These are important things to think about.
Are you a fan of businesses offering, if they can, extensions on employee benefits?
Yes, if they can do that, I always advocate for doing that beyond the 30, the 60, the 90 days as much as possible. In bigger organizations, it's a little bit trickier to do something like that. It just really depends on the financial situation. A lot of the layoffs that I've seen recently, especially in tech, we've had 45,000 layoffs this year. It's bottom line. It's, capitalism, it's greed. It's really that. The problem is I think last year we had 265,000 layoffs in tech. The year before that in 2022, it was like 160,000. And it kept happening because when you lay off a workforce, who's picking up the slack? Like the remaining employees who are there, they're not being prepped, they're not being instructed, they're not being cared for or supported. So just imagine sometimes you have a manager, they have their work to do, but they are always also supporting 20 other employees that work under them. So when are they getting time to be creative? When are they getting time to be brand ambassadors or to become a better company, service company for clients? So this is where the disconnect happens. You can lay off a workforce, but what are you doing to care for those workers? Look at the type of work that they're doing. The first thing that I do when I go into a company, I ask for an updated resume. And I would usually get an eye roll, like, why are you asking for a resume? And what I've found is that sometimes the manager doesn't understand what the employee has been up to. They have no clue what their job entails. They can contribute so much more because they've been doing a project management course. They have been upskilling on their technology. They know Salesforce like back to front, like it's unreal. So there is a disconnect there. And sometimes when I get back those resumes and I show it to the manager, they're like, I didn't know she can do this. So people are
Right.
sitting into the seats and they can do so much better if you would just figure out and have those conversations.
I think this is top down. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're going to, imagine if you're a mid-level manager and you walk in the door, you may or may not have known that these layoffs were going to occur. You saw the writing on the wall, whatever. You walk in one day and now half your staff is gone. The other half of your staff wants to have some answers because they weren't told probably anything. And now they just have an email. They open up their email and here's this blanketed email, from up high that says XYZ. Okay, well, what are we doing to your point? What are we doing to now not only make sure that they're okay, but really reassess skills?
sure. I would say make sure you're getting those one-on-ones with your manager. It can be 10 minutes a week. It can be 10 minutes every 2 weeks. Make sure that you're having that conversation. Make sure you're being really direct with the manager and the type of support that you need. Because at the end of the day, they pull data from somewhere and they use that productivity level to get rid of people. It's not the right way. And if you're not being supported and your manager, you're not speaking up, they will not know, how they can help you, how they can assist you. So that's the first thing. I think companies and leaders need to be very transparent with their workforce. You cannot say, I guarantee your job's is safe, and then the next day it's all gone, right? People need to be understanding, like they need to understand like how they're going to be paying bills 30 days from now, 60 days from now. So if you're very direct with them and very transparent with them, it goes a long way. They would remember you for that. Remember, after a layoff, you want your employees to be your brand ambassadors, your biggest brand ambassadors. And after a layoff, I think the statistic was 87% of employees will not recommend their company after a layoff because of the way it's handled.
Yep.
It's inhumane. So, employees are not something on your balance sheet. They're not. They're just not. They're humans with dreams and aspirations, with families, with kids. Like we have to see it. Mindset shift.
You have been on Time to Change, and Neela saying in the house, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next season.